I refuse to use my $180,000 for my son's rehab. Willpower is free. Am I the a-hole? My husband and I have been married for 3 years now. I have a daughter, 15 female, and he has a son, 24 male. I am friendly with my stepson, but we're not close. He has a biological mother who is a perfectly fine woman. I'm not here to take the role of his mom. My late husband, my daughter's father, passed away when the daughter was 6 years old. We both contributed to her college fund. My daughter's paternal grandparents have also contributed a large amount. Right now, that fund has about $180,000 in it.
That's a big college fund. She can go anywhere with that.
My daughter is extremely bright, and I'm not just saying that because I'm her mom. I truly believe that she has the capacity to go to an Ivy League school, and her teachers have said that she has that potential as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's awesome.
That's good.
And I don't want any costs holding her back. Our income would be too high to get any meaningful financial aid, and while there are a few merit-based scholarships out there that she will be applying to, we don't want her to put all her eggs in one basket and just hope that she gets it when it's so competitive. My current husband and I have separate finances. He doesn't contribute at all to my daughter's fund. My stepson is struggling with a heroin addiction. He has stolen money, jewelry, heirlooms, and electronics from us for drug money. I understand that an addiction is a disease, and I personally paid for an outpatient detox for him, which was around $1,000, which failed. His father then paid for an outpatient rehab program, which cost $6,500, which also didn't work because he barely showed up. He promised us that he'd do better next time, and he needed another chance, so I split the cost of another $6,500 outpatient rehab program with my husband, which seemed to work during the program, but he relapsed as soon as he got out of it. I have spent so much money, time, and energy, and it hasn't helped at all. My husband and my stepson want to try a 60-day outpatient rehab program, which will cost $30,000.
Ooh, that is steep.
Man, this is a tough situation. I had absolutely no idea where they were supposed to get the money for that, considering the thousands and thousands of dollars that they'd already spent, and the fact that we no longer had anything of value in our house. They want to use my daughter's college fund.
Oh,
which to me is absolutely off limits. I feel like it's completely unfair to punish my daughter for my stepson's addiction, unfair to my late husband and to his parents, but frankly, I don't think spending $30,000 will work. My husband thinks I'm an asshole because I'm prioritizing my daughter's education over his son's life, and he believes that medical needs come first. He then asked my daughter if she would be willing to use $30,000 from her fund to pay for her stepbrother's rehab. And she got very quiet and did not answer. He then got very upset with her and said that she was being selfish. My daughter later told me that she didn't want to give her stepbrother the money, but she felt so guilty, and I'm furious at my husband for emotionally guilt-tripping my daughter like that.
I mean, it's really unfair to the daughter.
Yes.
It's really unfair to the late husband, and it's unfair to the grandfather. Like they put money
for this reason.
And to not honor that reason is to not honor everyone who contributed to that. It sucks. It sucks
a lot.
Exactly. And I could easily see it not working and then going down another rabbit hole.
If you've experienced something similar, if you have any advice that could help anyone that's going through this, we would definitely appreciate that in the comments below.
Yeah. Put your answers in the comments, and let's get into this next story.
Let's do it.
I just told my kids they are inheriting nothing and they're furious. Am I the a-hole?
Listen, as the wise Gary Vee says,
parents,
but also your children. How did we go left so quick?
Let's keep going. My wife and I are both in our mid-40s and work full-time. We have 3 children, 20 female, 17 female, and 11 male. We've both worked hard to get where we are in our careers, and thankfully that means we're able to provide a good life for our kids. We aren't rich, and we don't live beyond our means, but our combined income is $300,000 per year.
There you go.
That's pretty good. Now, here's the thing. If we went the traditional route and saved heavily and worked another 25 years, we could probably retire at a decent age and still leave a sizable inheritance for our kids. The thing is, we don't want that for us or them. We worked hard to get where we are, and we intend to enjoy the rewards of what we have before we're elderly. We also don't want our kids to be counting down the days until we die so they can get our money and never work again. So our plan is to retire about the time our son graduates from high school. We'll have enough money saved up to live comfortably and travel more, and we intend to use all our money, every last bit. We have a rainy day fund, of course, and we fully plan to use as much of our money as possible. They'll get a portion of what we have left once we both die, but they shouldn't expect anything. We've never really brought this up with any of our kids. For one, it's our money and our business. And for another, they never asked. We did, however, explain that we aren't giving them handouts as adults. We'll pay half of whatever their school ends up costing, and that'll be the last major money we ever give them. I recently had a minor health scare, pre-cancerous mole, I'm fine, and the topic came up with our oldest about what our plans are. I explained the money situation, and this really upset her. She accused us of caring more about partying than her and her siblings' well-being. I explained that we'd rather them make their own way in life, like we did, and not wait for a handout. She told her sister, and now they're both upset with my wife and I, not just for the inheritance, but for not telling them sooner. I don't think there was any good reason to do that. It isn't their business what happens to other people's money. Still, I'm open to being wrong about that. So, is OP the a-hole?
It is a kind of this weird perverse incentive where it's like, hey, once I die, you get a load of money.
Yeah.
So
let's
never thought about it like that.
Hey, Daddy-O, have you tried this double greaser Big Mac ever?
Ooh, it's
extra
delicious.
bacon?
I'm sure a lot of people here, we have a lot of parents, a lot of moms that watch this show.
Yeah.
So how are you thinking about
Tell
inheritance
us
for your children?
What your children plan to inherit from you?
Yes.
The exact dollar amounts and how you're telling them about that.
Whoever has the highest amount wins.
Yeah. And donate it to OKOP.
There we go. I like that.
Let's get into this next story.
I inherited all of the money and my brother with a disability gets nothing. I don't want to give him his share. Am I the a-hole?
Not only have you been physically or mentally disabled, you have been financially disabled.
I, 29 male, and my two brothers, Steve, 27, and Harry, 24, recently lost our mother in January, quite unexpectedly, a couple of years after our father passed away. Now, Harry has disabilities and won't ever fully live independently, but he's not entitled to any support, and he'd react badly to it because of his autism. Interesting. Let's see.
So he's autistic and not entitled to support from the government.
But the key thing here is he isn't working and probably never will. My parents, in agreement with my brothers, left me all of the possessions to distribute as I see fit.
Wow. That's a lot of power.
Between me, Steve, and Harry, with the assumption that Harry would benefit from a greater share of the savings that Steve or I pay the rent on the council flat, which is a government subsidized apartment he's received, and other living costs. As a family, we all agreed that this was best, not least as Harry's becoming more independent as time goes on, and maybe one day he will be able to get a job and earn a modest living. Now, sadly, that's not happened before my mom's passing, and now I don't know what to do.
So now it's like whatever the court decides.
I think keeping money back for Harry feels smartest. Steve wants a third of everything now. I've suggested we all take a smaller share, 10% for now, and keep the rest to support Harry. And then if he doesn't need it in the future, then obviously Steve will get his share of the third. I think that's a fantastic idea.
Right.
Steve is not happy and he's calling me an asshole. He won't answer my calls and his friends are blowing up on me. The situation feels unwinnable as I want to support Harry, but I can see Steve's side. I'm thinking maybe I should just give him a third, even if it means I might not end up receiving anything. Am I the a-hole for holding firm? There's one click edit. Edit to clarify. If Harry doesn't need the money, Steve will get his full share of a third of my parents' possession.
Well, when do you decide that he doesn't need the money?
That's a good question. I would assume that OP's parents did this because of Harry's disability.
Yeah.
And they knew that he would probably need some extra support.
Yeah.
But that's a tricky one.
Tricky one. I mean, what would you do? If you were the mom, how would you allow the finances to trickle down to the son? And what would you do with your OP? We would love to know your comments. My brother is bullied mercilessly, and I don't care. He kind of deserves it. Am I the asshole? So my brother Darren, 15 male, is getting bullied, in quotes, online in his and my parents' word. I mean, in my opinion, which might be kind of bad, I think he deserves it. Damn. Basically, he slid into a girl's DMs, got rejected, and unleashed a ton of disgusting sexist abuse on her. The girl made an Insta post about it that got shared around the kids at her school, and then a bunch of people commented about how he had done similar things to them. Sometimes bullying has a purpose.
Yeah, this bullying has a great purpose, I would say.
Exactly. This guy needs to be castrated. He who shall slither into the DMs without respect shall lose both testicles. It was honestly disturbing to read. And while I knew my brother was kind of off, I didn't think he was this bad. I read that he called a black girl an ugly N-word once, and they got into an argument about politics, and a lot of other people have awful experiences with him as well. Her post currently has over 1,000 likes, so a lot of people have seen it. You deserve it. My brother is currently suspended, and the school's deciding on what they should do moving forward. However, my parents are furious with me for not sticking up for him or defending him. They have punished him, but they're currently in the mitigatory period in order to try to protect his future. Makes sense. They want to make sure that he's not totally f***ed. It's true that it's getting pretty bad. He gets hateful DMs every day, and there's even a Darren hate page, I guess his name is Darren, on Instagram with dozens of followers. A lot of his friends have cut ties with him, and he's constantly crying or angry. He's scared for his future, and his mental health has taken a toll. I've gotten backlash too for being a sister, and I've had to explain to numerous people in my DMs that I don't condone his behavior. I think it's absolutely disgusting, etc. My parents and Darren expect me to make some sort of statement of solidarity for him, or at least tell people to move on. But I don't want to. For one, that'd get people mad at me, but two, I honestly think he deserves all of this for what he did. I told him that I think his future college/career prospects are probably wrecked, but there was no one to blame but himself. I don't know if I would say that again, like in the thought of like making sure he doesn't dive deeper into these ways.
Yeah.
Show him that, hey, if you turn this around and admit that you're being a total asshole and see the error of your ways, maybe there is a future for you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that sent him into a spiral of wailing and rage. And my parents are incredibly angry that I don't support him because, quote, he can change and ultimately he's my brother and I need to be on his side when the whole world is against him. There is an edit. To answer a common question, he has given a public apology, but it felt really insincere to me since he only said it after the girl's post started getting traction. When she first posted it, he DM'd her with threats and insults to take it down. Also, I didn't say his future prospects were gone, as in he couldn't grow and not be sexist or racist, just that in a practical sense, he wasn't going to be getting into a really good college / become a politician like he wanted. Man is making all the wrong political moves.
Man,
he's trying to become a
that
politician.
is not how you build a career in politics, my guy.
But is Opie the a-hole for saying what she did and not being on his side? What do you think? I want to know what everyone else thinks in the comments. What would you do if this was your brother?
What would you do?
What if this came out about like your current sibling that you may have a good relationship with? What would you do?
Yeah.
John, I'm curious your thoughts.
It's really an a-hole move on the parents to try and force OP to come up with this like statement of solidarity or whatever.
Especially
it's
when
like,
she doesn't believe it.
That doesn't help him learn anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so I think that's a very bad parenting move on their part.
Do you think the sister is being as empathetic as she could be or should be?
I mean, yeah, there's probably like what you were saying with like the schools and opportunities and stuff like that. Like that's not, as far as like, how do we get him to start working on his mindset as quickly as possible? Being like, oh yeah, your future is ruined is probably not
the move.
The best way to.
But everything else I think that she's been saying and doing besides that, I feel like has been more or less the right decision.
She seems pretty level-headed.
But I mean, like, I'm really curious what all of you guys think. What would you do if this was your sibling, your brother, your sister, maybe even your cousin if you don't have a brother or sister?
Ooh.
Or your friend if you don't have a brother, sister, or cousin? Or, I don't know, like your kebab shop coffee barista person that you really like and talk to every day. Shout out Vinny, who's my barista person here. What would you do if any of those people came out with these comments? Put your answers in the comments below. And John, I want to hear this next story.
My girlfriend is getting too friendly with my high school bully, so I went off on her. Am I the a-hole?
I just got a bust. I love when Riley looks at me like that. He's like literally naked right now.
His wiener is covered in mosquito bites. Me, 26 male, and my girlfriend, 26 female, met in high school. We became really good friends. She was basically my only friend in school, and we decided to go to the same university so we wouldn't drift apart.
That never ends poorly.
When we were in university, I finally asked her out, and we've been dating ever since. To sum up my time in high school, it was an awful time. I was very lonely, introverted, and quiet in both high school and middle school, so I was prone to getting bullied. I was heavily bullied by this guy. Let's call him Louise. and his group of friends. He would poke fun at my eye condition, intentionally embarrass me, and make me uncomfortable in front of everyone.
What's his eye condition? Is he blind?
When he said eye condition, I thought of like
he's wearing glasses.
Maybe he has like a they would call me all kinds of names and just made my life in school hell. This was majorly traumatizing because school was supposed to be a safe place for me because I was getting emotionally abused by my shitty family at home.
Oh, that sucks.
I'm really sorry, Opie. But he ruined any chances of it being a safe place for me by making every day horrible. My girlfriend was aware of this bullying situation at the time, and when we became closer friends, she always comforted me about it and sympathized with me when I vented about it.
Aw.
That's sweet. I'm glad Opie had somebody. She agreed that they were very cruel for no reason and I didn't deserve it at all. She told me she hated them for hurting me like that. Fast forward to now.
Oh, God.
And what the problem actually is, we were out together walking the dog and I told her I'd jog to a nearby store real quick, pick up some cigarettes and come back while she stayed at the park.
First mistake.
What's the first mistake?
Being addicted to cigarettes.
Yes.
Smoking fucking kills.
From your boys at OKOP.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Don't fucking smoke. I would love to scream at kindergartners.
When I was walking back, I noticed her talking to someone from a distance. She seemed all cheerful and laughing.
Oh, no.
They talked for a bit and he walked away in the opposite direction. So I come up to her and I asked her, "What's up?" She nonchalantly smiles and says, "It was Luis from high school."
Fuck. Oh, no. Not with the smile.
I awkwardly chuckled and said, "Whoa, you were seriously happy to talk with that guy?" She says, "Sure." I told her, "You do remember he was the person that basically made my life a living hell in high school, right?" She told me, "Yeah, I remember, but I'm sure he has changed and he seemed really sweet." Come on, don't be like that.
He has a 12-inch hog and is super good looking.
Damn, Poppy. I got pretty mad at that point and didn't say anything. She notices the awkward silence and says, "Aw, dude, come on. Do you seriously still have a grudge against him? I thought you'd be over it by now." Holy shit. That felt like a knife through my stomach. It's not that effing easy to get over years of trauma that sabotaged my self-esteem and confidence. It was so hurtful to hear coming from her, especially because she was my rock during those times while I was getting abused by everyone at school and home. I still don't hate the guy and his friends after all this time has passed or want them to suffer or whatever, but it's not easy at all to forget what they did to me. Sure, maybe they changed for the better, but seeing her talk to him so cheerfully and telling me about it made me die inside. Am I the a-hole for this? There is a update, decently meaty update.
Okay.
But I'm curious, everyone watching and Sam, like, what do you do in this scenario? Someone like your worst high school bully rizzes up your significant other and you're just like, what do I do?
Okay, well, first off, we don't know this isn't a legitimate riz. Like her being kind to a guy that she hasn't seen in ages
is disgusting. Is unacceptable. No, I'm just kidding.
Gross. No, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. Like you should be nice to people. Like if my high school bully talked to, or I didn't really have high school bullies, but my middle school bully talked to, my current girlfriend or something, I would, even if she knew about it, I would expect her to be nice and kind.
Yeah.
If she's like touching the chest, feeling up the arms, laughing a little bit too much, "Hey, can I get your number?" sending nudes, then I'm going to be like, all right, that's not cool.
Yeah.
But John, I want to hear this meaty update.
Let's get into it. Basically, everything was kind of tense between us after we went home yesterday. When I woke up the next morning, my girlfriend told me we needed to talk, so I agreed. I was going to ask her first, but she beat me to it. She asked me if I was still upset about yesterday, so I told her that I was, and I explained that hearing that he's a sweet guy from her was really painful, especially when she knew about the stuff he did to me. I told her that being friendly like that towards people who tormented me wasn't something I accept, and obviously explained that her "get over it" comment was out of pocket and unnecessary. I told her how him becoming a better person was kind of irrelevant to me because no matter how much he's changed, the consequence of his actions will always stick with me. She listened to me explaining and she started crying in the middle of it and said that she was incredibly sorry and that she didn't think too much of it at the moment and failed to consider my feelings.
Oh, that's really nice.
That's a nice response. She said after I explained it from my POV, she realized she was being the a-hole and it was a stupid assumption that the trauma would go away over time and I would forget about it. We understood where each of us was coming from and I forgave her. She was very genuine about it and I know that she's not a malicious person and wouldn't want to intentionally hurt me, even if it did hurt. There was a bunch of people telling me to break up with her in the comments. Man, divorce chant just always goes off.
Always goes off.
Always a divorce chant in the comments, guys.
And I don't know if Reddit gives the best relationship advice. Don't take relationship advice from people who are single.
And I see why to some other people this would be a complete deal breaker breaker. But in my opinion, relationships obviously come with their ups and downs, misunderstandings, and conflicts like this one. So I forgave her for this and I moved on, especially when she realized what she did was wrong and apologized.
In what world is this a complete deal breaker?
Yeah.
Talking to what the fuck? You got Reddit, get your shit together.
Yeah, this is way too much,
Get
guys.
your shit, put it in a bag, get it together.
Pack it. If she hadn't, it would have been a completely different thing. She told me that she didn't want to keep contact with him after this and doesn't care about him at all. Even told me that she wants to block him on the socials that they exchanged, and I said that that was up to her. So far, everything seems to be okay, and I feel like this helped our relationship in terms of setting boundaries and respecting them, and I'm glad we were able to talk it out. Well, we want to talk it out with you guys because I think this is a very good conversation. What are your boundaries in your relationship? What are things that are no-go for you, deal breakers, etc.? Let us know in the comments. We would definitely love to hear from you guys.
Yeah, and I think, there's not necessarily a universal law of how you should conduct a relationship. One of my friends was talking about how he's in a non-monogamous relationship. As long as your relationship contract is the same between both of you and you keep to it, that's all that matters.
Exactly.
And there's different there's different relationships all throughout. It's like some people might be comfortable with you flirting with other people a little bit. Some people that don't even look in the direction of another woman or man. So what feels comfortable to OP isn't necessarily universal. I think coming from the story, I feel like there was maybe a little bit of an overreaction on OP's side.
I think so.
The only thing I think that his girlfriend did wrong was trivializing his trauma, saying you should be over it by now. That's a little bit of an a-hole move, but everything else I think is fine. But good on her for hearing where he came from and apologizing for how she made him feel. That's always a good thing.
Everyone makes mistakes. We don't live in each other's heads, and sometimes
and it's not even necessarily a mistake. It's just is this something that someone's uncomfortable with? I think speaking the language of hey, you did this and it made me feel you can't argue with someone's feelings.
Exactly.
OP's girlfriend isn't a jerk, but maybe she made him feel a certain way and he can voice that.
100%. You know what, Sam? I really want you to dunk this next story on me.
I'm gonna frickin' Kobe, rest in peace, this next story all on you.
Let's do it.
I let my daughter date my son's bully and he did not take it well. I may have just torn my entire family apart. Am I the asshole? This all started a couple of years ago and it has completely split our family apart. My son, Z, 22 male, has pretty much been estranged from us since he was 18. Adam is the son of good family friends. He and my daughter, P, 24 female, began dating around when they were 19. The problem is, Adam was a bully to my son throughout school. As you can imagine, he didn't take it very well. He was furious. However, my daughter refused to budge on this. I tried to stay out of the situation, but my wife took my daughter's side, partially as we were good friends with the Adams' parents, but also because she thought Z would eventually get over it. If they were good family friends, why didn't they try to do anything about the bullying?
It's stupid to not.
Yeah, that's really fucked. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Instead, it made a stark difference in my son's personality. He had become much more aggressive, cold, and disrespectful. He no longer listened to me or what his mother had to say, often using intimidation to get what he wanted. He would also disappear for days at a time without so much a word. This would more or less carry on until he left for university, after which he probably spent no more than 2 weeks in total back home, opting to stay with friends or whatever girl he was seeing at the time. He has rejected any olive branch we extend. This has completely destroyed our family, and it especially hurts my wife as they were quite close before this happened. The last time we spoke was last year before lockdown. He called me a coward for sitting on the fence. I understand why he feels the way he does, but was I really wrong to stay neutral on this? I didn't feel like it was my place to control my daughter's dating life. And there is an update. But John, I want to know what everyone else thinks. Is OP the dad being an a-hole, and why? If you think so, or why do you not think so? But John, what do you think?
I do see the point in where it's hey, if I tell you you can't date this guy, that's only going to make her want to date him more. That is the kind of catch-22 that you're dealing with in this situation. But again, kind of to your point before, why did the families not sit him down and talk to him and be you cannot do this?
Yeah, I think OP is not the a-hole for not controlling, for not going in and controlling his daughter's dating life. Is the a-hole for not doing anything sooner. It seems way too little, too late. They didn't do anything to prevent the bullying. If they were family friends, they should have done more. And I bet you the son felt like not only was he not helped during his time when he was being bullying, they weren't taking his account to his feelings then, and they're not taking account of his feelings now.
Yeah, and this is just like so much worse. Like now your bully's gonna be constantly around you and you have like basically no choice. Like home went from like the safe place to like
to not safe. Your bully has literally infiltrated your family. Like how would that be? Depending on how bad the bullying is, that would be traumatic.
100%.
I could see not wanting to be part of the family. But I got an update. It was quite clear that we were in the wrong and we accept that. However, my son was informed of the original post by one of his cousins. He got into contact and he found it hilarious. My wife managed to convince him to meet up with us and talk. In regard to his sister and Adam, he seemed completely indifferent to them. He said he wasn't particularly interested in talking to two losers no one really likes. It was a long conversation we talked about a lot, but it seemed to end with my son letting us know that while there might be the slightest bit of contact between us, me and my wife will always be on the outside looking in on his life. While this isn't what me and my wife hoped for, we are looking at this as a chance to eventually build our relationship back up. I'm happy to say he's outgrown his abrasiveness and has become a very confident and intelligent young man. He now runs a charity. He happily went into detail about how he works with disadvantaged children and helps them get opportunities, particularly in sports. And that's the end. It ended like, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I think they are the asshole. They don't necessarily deserve anything from him.
Yeah.
But he's giving a little window into his life. So
100%.
I think that's all you could ask for.
I agree.
But what would you do? Put your answers in the comments if your bully f***ed his way into your life.
Ooh. Through your sister.
Through your sister. F*** your sister to fuck you up.
Yep.
Continuously. They say high school ends at high school, but nope, high school comes in your sister.
Yep.
So,
sorry.
Comes when you least expect it. Hey, yo. But yeah, let us know what you would do in this situation. Kind of crazy, honestly.
A little bit.
You don't want your highest school bully to follow you anywhere. Yeah, that would suck.
I almost got my son unalived. I don't care. It happens. Am I the a-hole?
Hey, if you go back like 100 years, child mortality, you die at 4.
I can be an angry driver. So to work on that, I have started giving people thumbs up instead of the middle finger. Interesting strategy. It helps me have a better attitude and I find myself being frustrated less when driving when I don't let my anger be my reaction. Well, today that backfired on me. Although who knows what would have happened if I had escalated to the middle finger. I was driving behind 2 cars in the fast lane on my way home from grocery shopping with my young son. The slow lane was wide open and the truck in the front in the fast lane was driving just under the speed limit. So I changed lanes, passed around on the right, giving my usual courtesy thumbs up as I passed the truck. A couple of miles up the road, I get into the left turn lane and I'm stopping for the red light. Well, that truck wasn't turning and they had a green light, so they were going 60 to 65 miles per hour as they drove past me.
Wow.
Jeez, as a truck? They threw a live shotgun shell at my truck as they passed. What?
The f***?
It hit the flat back of my window of my pickup, right behind my son's head. It was so loud, my ears were ringing and my son started crying. Luckily, the window didn't break and we're both fine now, but damn, I was fuming when I saw that shell and realized that that is what he threw at me. I reported it to the police, who say they will check the cameras at the intersection. So fingers crossed, there's consequences for them. Quick edit. Seems some took the truck to mean semi-truck. It was just a heavy-duty pickup truck. I was also imagining that. That's so funny. And then edit number 2, the shotgun shell did not go off. It hit the glass at 60 to 65 miles per hour and was shockingly loud. It hit sideways, so the plastic and the metal ring on the primer side hit the glass.
Well, like that boils my blood. Who does that?
Pretty insane.
Is there an update? That's it?
That's it. That's all we got. I mean, any object, think about like a little rock going at 60 miles an hour. That's crazy.
That is fast.
That is super fucking fast.
Super fast. What would you do if someone threw a live shotgun shell at you? Would you report them or would you just go about your day?
I would definitely, especially if my kid was in the car.
Yeah, I would 100% report. Has anyone ever thrown anything at you while you're driving, or have you ever thrown anything at someone else? Let us know your road rage stories in the comments below. And let's get into this next one.
Let's drive on in.
I was hit by a car yesterday. What are my options? I'm in California.
Damn, getting straight to the point.
Getting straight to it.
And you know, there's no 2 better legally trained lawyers than us.
So as the title states, I, 18 female, was hit by a car yesterday walking across the street in San Francisco. There was construction going on. It's a very confusing intersection. The lady turned right on a red while I was crossing. There was no light, but a construction worker was holding up a stop sign and a motion for me to go. She hit me going approximately 15 miles per hour. I was unconscious for 20 20 seconds.
Jeez.
Oh my God. So here's the thing. She didn't get out of her car. She just rolled down her window. She asked me if I would like her information and even offered me a large amount of money. I said in a complete daze, no thank you. She then left after a couple minutes. I was bleeding from the back of my head and had some abrasions on my body. The construction guys are the ones who rendered aid to me, but I refused an ambulance because I don't have any medical insurance and would never be able to afford the $3,000 fee.
Opie.
America, dude. Anyways, I stumbled to the hospital, which was about a mile away. I honestly don't remember much. The doctors called me foolish because I was seriously injured. They did a CT scan and a full body x-ray. Besides the multiple body fractures, I also have a severe concussion with minor bleeding in the brain. Girl, you in for a check. Get those security cameras.
Please.
They were going to admit me for at least a couple days, but I left after 5 hours because I just can't afford the hospital stay, let alone the CT scan and x-rays. This was very stupid. I know I am hurting bad this morning about 24 hours later and have a bunch of neurological symptoms. My case manager at the youth shelter I'm staying at is making me do a police report in person this morning. He's coming with me and is talking about maybe making me return to the hospital. Besides all that, I really don't want this woman to get in trouble. I'm just glad I'm okay, but I'm injured pretty bad and still working off adrenaline. A few people have told me that she is required to call 911 regardless. Is that true? What are my options? I feel a little taken advantage of because I wasn't thinking straight immediately after the accident. Thank you.
That lady treated trying to work with the girl as like a McDonald's drive-thru.
Yeah,
just like
oh,
roll
can
down
I
the
take
window
your
like,
order?
Hey, you good?
Sorry, I can't hear that. Oh, okay, bye.
Wow, that is a really, really
So
rough situation.
there
to
is
be
an
in.
edit. The police report has been filed.
Okay.
But she needs to see if there's security cameras. There's cameras everywhere. We
Yeah.
live in a society
We do live in a society.
where we are always under surveillance. Have you ever gotten hit by a car or any kind of vehicle? Let us know.
Yeah. Also, try not to get hit by cars.
Yeah, please don't go looking to get hit by a car.
Yeah.
That's also our advice. But let's jump into this next one.
It's for the gas. Someone hit me with a car and now wants to sue me? I'm going to fight back. But am I the a-hole? On Monday, I was in a crash at a really busy intersection. A crash happens multiple times a day there, so I'm fairly careful around that area due to all of the crashes. I was sitting at a red light for around a minute before going when the light turned green. However, as soon as I made it about halfway through the intersection, my vision went white and the world started spinning. Oof. All my airbags had gone off, my oil just started to spill all the way down the street, and my console was smoking. So I missed the part of the crash where the other party tried to hop on the interstate and cross state borders, but a man a couple of cars behind me took off after them and brought them back. When the cops finally showed up after around 45 minutes, the other party decided to lie and say that I ran the red light.
Dude, it's always like that, dude.
Always. He also showed a gift card instead of an ID.
Like as a bribe?
Would you like $7.50 on a Cold Stone Creamery card? And I'm still so bewildered by that. Thankfully, the man in the car directly behind me also had a dash cam and basically forced the footage on the cop with how adamant he was about giving it. And Opie is really surrounded by some good Samaritans. Again, after calling insurance, I've now found out that they are holding on to the lie that they didn't turn a red, despite the footage proving that they did, and the 6 witnesses, including a prison officer, that were all saying that he was the one at fault. Can he get me in trouble with these lies? I'm scared that one morning I'll wake up and find out that they decided that he was right and I'll have to pay for his entirely effed up SUV. He popped the wheel, the hood was so dented you could see underneath the engine that was in pieces, and I really just don't want to pay for his bad decision. Is it possible that I'd have to? Editing to make a quick note here, but I did initially start this whole thing by filing a claim with my own insurance at the incident site. My insurance told me that I shouldn't have done that because it makes me look like the guilty one and that I had to do it through the other person's insurance.
Right. Usually you fire when you are not at fault, you file through the other person's insurance. But like, you know, if you have the dash cam footage and the witnesses, it should be fine.
I didn't know that actually. That's a good tip for me. But yeah, a lot of car stories today, guys.
Tell us your car crash stories. Put them in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you remember of it.
That's right.
My psycho parents are in a religious cult. I just found sacrifices in the attic. Should I call the cops?
It's for religious reasons.
You know what the sacrifices in the attic are?
What?
They're dreams when they had you. So my parents are very secretive people. I always assumed that's just how parents were. Along with this, they were legit obsessed with the attic. When we moved into this house, 4 floors, 1 attic, I wanted to have more room in there as it had the most space and I could put all my workout equipment there. But they demanded that I stay on the second second floor, which eventually turned into a screaming match between me, my mom, and my stepdad. I caved and moved into the second floor. And to apologize, they let me stay at my cousin's house in Massachusetts for the next 2 weeks as they moved more and more stuff in. They had to apologize for giving you a whole fucking floor?
Bro, OP.
And you didn't help move stuff in?
You're kind of coming off as the a-hole already.
Dude,
like,
oh my God. When I came back, the attic door was locked. Like, I'm talking paranoid grandpa in apartment locked. I never minded it. After all, it was an attic. And when I asked my mom about it, she'd simply say they used it for storage. Odd, but both my grandma and dad had died a few years before and left behind a lot of stuff, so I believed her. I caught glimpses of the inside over the following weeks. It was oddly underdeveloped compared to the second, third, fourth, and first floors. And there was a toilet in the back of it so I could see through the darkness. Fast forward to today, I wake up and have to take a shit. I made the mistake of eating 3 cheese sandwiches yesterday. Whoops. Fucking spoiled brat. So I check on the second floor. Stepdad is in the bathroom downstairs. Sister's in the bathroom. I know that the basement is empty and full of spiders, so I refuse to go down there. And the third floor doesn't have a bathroom. I also overheard my mom talking about going upstairs to do something.
like,
masturbate. So I decided to cut my losses and release the horde in the attic. The place looks pretty normal at first glance. There's a weird amount of paper on the floor that's peeling off and the windows are blocked, but that's it. I go to the bathroom, use the bathroom, and leave. But I noticed that there's almost nothing up there, despite my mom's claims of it being a storage room. So I just look around for shits and giggles. I opened a door which I wouldn't be able to see from the attic stairs, as it is to the left of the door that lets you into the attic, and I find a shrine. It has pictures of my dead dad, grandma, and me on it. It's nothing hereditary level, but it's certainly off-putting. Consider the thing is surrounded by dolls, and there's also a couple of cardboard boxes around the place with literal birds inside. I want to say I'm kidding, but these are actual fucking birds in them. I know this because on a run through the Bronx, we went to the halal market thing or whatever, and they packed birds into these boxes with holes in them. I imagine live
so they're
birds.
alive?
They were alive. I think they may be dead.
What the fuck is going on?
This isn't proof of a cult, I understand, but this, coupled with some recent changes, has really led me to believe that my parents are going through some weird stuff. Ever since my grandma and dad died, my mom has gotten really deep into faith and has become friends with this priestess based in Cuba. I don't know her name. I have met her, and she does live streams on Facebook. Again, something relatively normal until I saw that her photo is on the fucking shrine as well. It's hard to see, but it's behind the candle. My parents have also been talking to me about my 16th birthday and have told me they are going to mark my head, followed by a laugh, which I assumed was always some kind of weird joke. I'm genuinely concerned and confused and don't know how to bring this up to them. And there is an update.
Mark my head sounds like they're putting a hit on her.
I know.
Are they?
It sounds like they're going to decapitate OP.
Is this cult the mafia?
Style.
Like,
dude, I don't fucking know.
This is really weird.
But also, like, this sounds crazy, but there have been and continue to be religious cults all over the U.S. Let us know if you joined a sex cult or any kind of cult. Put your answers in the comments. And you're on the ground floor, baby.
And we are your leaders. Follow us.
So, reasoned out that my parents probably weren't going to sacrifice me to some demonic pagan god or whatever. So, just in case, I told a friend that I was going to be online on COD within the next 2 hours, and that if I wasn't online at that point, he should probably come over to my house as my signal might have fucked up. Dumb lie, I know. And in the meantime, I just went downstairs and asked my mom what the deal was with the shrine upstairs. My mom is a bit stubborn, so she acted confused for a moment, but when I pushed further, she cracked and started talking when I asked questions. She told me that we are Catholic, and like many commenters on the post said, as it turns out, they practice an Afro-Cuban religion called Santeria, which is essentially a mix of Catholicism and a lot of African beliefs. The altar with all the photos is called a boveda and acts as a tunnel between earth and heaven. She put the photos of me there because she thinks it will let the spirit of my dad and of my grandma protect me. A little weird, but all right. At least it was done with good intentions, I guess. Eventually, I bring up the elephant or bird in the room and ask about the severed deer, goat/lamb, and she said it was a thing for Orisha called Achosi that has to do with hunting, I think. Then we talked more about the stuff around. Thankfully, the rock was not covered in blood, just some kind of weird alcohol. And then we got to the bird thing. It was the first time in forever that I was genuinely scared of my mom. She just casually explained that she would murder and has been murdering animals for years. I think she caught on to what I was getting at and promised that it was only farm animals and that she did it humanely by decapitating them or cutting some arteries so they bleed out quickly. Yikes. But again, I wanted to have an open mind, so I cringed in my mind and asked more questions. Most went nowhere, but the one that really fucked me up was when I asked how long they've been doing this. 30 years.
Wow.
30 fucking years they've been into this and they never told me about it. My cousins know. My aunts and uncles know. My grandma knew. My dad knew. Virtually everyone in my extended family knew except for me. What? And you know what the worst part is? My mom and dad weren't introduced to it or sucked in by someone else. They were the people introducing it to others. They're the cult leaders. My dad was something called a Centero or Centera or whatever that acts like a priest or fortune teller. He came over to the United States and met my mom and was the one to get her into Santeria and then introduced it to my grandma who immigrated not too long afterwards, and they practice it together. So I patched things up with my mom and stepdad, learned about the situation with the stuff in the attic, and it for the most part ended well. I'm not going to report them to anyone, but I am also not joining the Church of Santeria.
Wow. We've never had a situation like this, I think.
No.
1,000 stories.
Talk about fucking skeletons in the closet.
Oh, literally.
Fucking skeletons in the attic.
Murdered birds in the attic.
Birds. Anyway, what the fuck is this story?
That is a great question. How do they hide this from their child? Like, because most parents, they like introduce them to the religion that they follow.
Well, I guess maybe this is the introduction.
I guess, but like,
give Opie a couple years. Opie's gonna be like, damn, these birds looking pretty sexy.
But that's like, usually it's like you inundate them like from, you know, day one.
Yeah.
How at year 16 are you going to get them? You have like 2 years realistically.
That's actually true. Yeah. You got to start early. If
and
you're
something
is
like, they have to have some sort of sense that this is like different.
Yeah. If I was to indoctrinate my kids into a religious cult, I would start early.
There we go.
So start early.
0. Yeah.
But John, you know what else we should start with?
What?
This next story.
A pimp has a hit out on me and my family. Should I run away? Am I the a-hole?
Nice, just join the business. Flex those freaking cheeks. Become an asset to that pimp.
Strike a deal, you know?
Have a few laughs. Stick around.
Be considerate. It's only your life on the line. That's it. So a few weeks ago, I extremely regret even thinking about hooking up with an escort. Yeah. I contacted an escort that I found on a website through a text on my phone. Stupid of me not to use a fake number.
You got a text on your phone that said escorts in your area and then you decided to respond?
Dude, you're so dumb. After an hour, she was still texting me and I said the price was too high. I told her that I only had $120 to spend and she strangely accepted. Her initial offer was $350 per hour. I asked if I could pay in cash, but she said that she only does Bitcoin for first clients and that I could pay in cash later.
Bitcoin? Oh, that's bullshit, dude. Fuck you. Opie, you're getting scammed. You're getting scammed.
She told me the location of this store with a Bitcoin exchange. While I was walking to the store, she sent me some nudies. Somewhere along the line, I asked her if half the money could be paid in cash and half could be in Bitcoin, and she accepted. I told her it was difficult because I barely had a data connection for her to guide me through it inside the building. Eventually, after walking inside and out a bunch of times to confirm the exchange through my phone and receive more instructions from her, I became frustrated and asked why she couldn't drive there and have me pay her in cash.
Because you're getting scammed, Opie.
Yep. She gave me some weird explanation about the agency requiring the Bitcoin transaction as a confirmation or something. I kept telling her I couldn't, but she seemed desperate that I did, so I guess I kind of tried. But I got sick of walking in and outside of the store for a phone data connection, so I gave up and told her I couldn't. I also kind of felt religiously guilty about doing it.
Guilty because of religion.
He's guilty so frequently, he's religiously guilty.
It seems like like the communication is really hard. You know what he needs? 2 dead birds. Instantly have a freaking Centauria connection with her, bro. Get that Afro-Cuban religious vibe going. There's no guilt in that religion. As many sex workers as you want, they say you can have it.
Zero guilt, all goat heads.
All goat heads, yeah. Dude, they're all about that head, let me tell you.
You don't want to know what they do, but
They fuck the goat head.
oh God. I left and the store owner asked if I was going to return. I told him no, and then he closed the store. She didn't believe me when I told her that the store was closed. She then began threatening to expose me or whatever for wasting her time, and she claimed that the agency lost money or something. I still refused. She made me a deal to do it tomorrow, and I still refused. I felt really guilty religiously about contracting a sex worker.
Switch to Centauria, bro. It's all good. It's all gravy.
I asked her where I was going to be reported/exposed or whatever, and she said, "You'll see." The whole thing did seem a bit shady, and she did seem very desperate that I pay her in Bitcoin because it's a scam. Oh my God.
This is hard to hear.
Yeah. On to the threat, the important part. So a week or so later, some guy contacted me about wasting time. I deleted the message and blocked the number. Come today, a new number contacted me. It began with like 12 gory images of people being brutally beaten up or offed in one way or another. The accompanying message was, "Hey sir," 2 times, and this was paraphrased and shortened. "We are communicating directly from the escort agency. We have evidence you were talking to one of my girls, and I have evidence while she was talking to you. She stopped talking to several clients who had separate appointments. Those clients canceled appointments because of the mistake you made in my agency's system to waste time. The agency lost $4,000, but I won't charge you that much."
$4,000? Bro, they're fucking bleeding that business dry.
"You're going to have to pay a fine of $750. If you do not solve this problem, I will tear your head and your relatives. This happens with everybody that plays with us, wastes our time with my agency and my girls. Solve this or not." He had horrible English.
Okay, I mean, this is obviously a progression of the scam.
I was extremely scared. I deleted all gory images but one, screenshotted the message, and buried it somewhere in my phone's files from plain sight. What do I do? Is this a scam I can't ignore?
It's a scam!
It's a scam. Should I contact the police? Will I get in trouble for contacting a sex worker? I'm pretty sure they're illegal here in Wisconsin. Oh my God, Opie, you are painfully stupid.
Angel.
You are so stupid.
So dumb.
Goes on a website from a random text message on his phone.
I didn't realize people fell for that.
I mean, there has to be someone who falls for it, otherwise they wouldn't do it, right?
That's true. That's true. But it's like old people. Like this guy's in a college town.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, maybe he's an older guy living in a college town. I don't know.
Man, this guy is an idiot.
He is so dumb.
Maybe you deserve to be torn limb from limb. No, you don't deserve that. You don't deserve that. But you at least deserve chlamydia.
I hope you learned your lesson. This is not good.
Again, it's a scam. But what I'd love to know from our audience is, have you ever hired a sex worker? Strippers count. Do strippers count? If the stripper gave a blowjob, it counts. Or a hand job. All right. Before I dig myself a bigger hole, let's go to the next story.
Let's go.
Mother-in-law was stalking me and ruining my marriage, and now she's missing. Am I the asshole for being relieved?
You know, there's levels to this. You know what I mean?
Was she opened up and had drugs stuffed inside her and then closed up and then snuck across the border to traffic drugs?
That would be terrible.
Real story that happened to my mom's friend.
That's insanity.
I can tell that story later. My mother-in-law and I never had a good relationship. She has tried to sabotage my relationship with my husband since the day she met me. I wasn't good enough for a handsome and successful little boy. I contemplated ending my relationship several times, but my husband always showed me that he is on my side, and I love him. A few years ago, I started getting very threatening and scary emails and texts from a PAX. What's a PAX? Riley, what's a PAX? Capital P, yeah. If you know what this means, let us know. This PAX knew everything about me. It didn't matter how many emails and phone numbers I changed, they or he always found me. I made several reports, but nothing happened. My husband tried everything to trace the emails. Nothing came out of it. This past year, I basically never left the apartment alone. Suddenly, my mother-in-law passed away in a car accident. The same time, my stalker disappeared. I have haven't received a single threatening text or email from Pax in a month. After a few days, I wasn't surprised. Felt like I always knew it was mother-in-law deep down. My husband hasn't reacted yet. He's consumed with his grief, and I don't want to bother him, especially when he bitterly told me, "You must be very pleased now," when he heard the news, and I tried to comfort him. He apologized later and said he was feeling guilty, and he loved and chose me more than he loved her. Now I'm waiting for him to connect the dots. Will he get it? If he does, will he talk to me about it? I don't know if I will ever bring it up to him. Also, I won't relax and go back to my normal life just yet, but I know it in my heart that it's over, and I can't be happier about my life. And she's saying the stalking is over from the mother-in-law. And there is an update.
I really hate how the husband is like, "Oh, I loved you more and chose you over her." It's like, it's not like a
competition. But I think probably because of how the mom acted, she was like, choose me over her.
someone who would do that to their daughter-in-law.
Yeah, fucking nuts.
Absolute insane person.
But I do have an update. So I was here maybe a month ago. If I find it, I will post it. Talking about me suspecting that my mother-in-law was my stalker who tormented me for years. I was trying to get advice about whether or not to tell my husband who was mourning her. I decided to wait a little, but after venting here, I was sure that she was my stalker. I started living like I never did before, with 10-minute walks alone, then 50, and then half hour, and so on. So literally, Opie wouldn't go outside because of this.
So insane.
At first, my husband didn't notice my freedom, or maybe he did, but was processing it himself. Last Friday, I told him that I was going out with the girls, alone. Yes. Want me to drive you there? No need. Are you not afraid anymore? No. My stalker won't bother me ever again. He kissed me and wished me a nice evening. When I came home around midnight, he was still up. He said that he wanted to talk to me. He asked me, was my mother your stalker? Yes. He broke down crying. He said he had always suspected her and even talked to her a couple times about it, and she made him so guilty by accusing him of being my simp. He said he noticed how after so many years of fear and anxiety, it suddenly stopped. And eventually the crying in my sleep stopped too. And he noticed that I haven't woken him up for a month now. I actually don't remember half of the time I woke him up in terror, but he always told me and my therapist about it whenever it happened. He apologized for never discussing it with me and never protecting me from his family, even though he had his suspicions. Honestly, I'm not even mad or disappointed. If the police couldn't help me, I don't know how much my husband could have done, and I just want to move on and leave this behind. We're going to start couples therapy, and my husband is planning to tell his family that mother-in-law was my stalker. He's adamant about it, and honestly, I think it's a good idea. My husband has also decided not to attend the headstone setting on mother-in-law's grave. Damn, crazy situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, imagine finding that out about your mother.
I know, I couldn't imagine. But it sounds like OP was already suspicious, so it might be something that this mother does, you know?
Yeah, God. We get some bad mother-in-law stories on the show. This is like insidious, evil. This is beyond just like being an asshole.
Yeah, this is an evil person. And it's not like it was just online or whatever. This crept into OP's life. She wouldn't leave the house without her husband.
Completely. And also like their lives together, like she's like, God.
Yeah, so terrible. But I mean, yeah, what would you do in this situation if you were the husband and you realized that your mother was tormenting your significant other?
Yeah.
I would love to know what you would do. Put the answers in the comments below.
Please do. My ex cheated and left me at the altar 2 years ago. He wants to talk, but maybe I don't. Am I the a-hole?
Yes, you're the a-hole for him cheating. Maybe you should have just done better.
My 28 female ex-fiance, Derek.
You, Derek?
Yeah.
32 male, disappeared the morning of our wedding 2 years ago, evading all attempts to reach him.
Wow.
From myself and his family.
Because he's dead.
Tough plot twist. It was devastating, absolutely soul-crushing. The event turned into a party to distract from the pain of the unknown. Afterwards, I returned to our apartment and slept on the bathroom floor in my wedding dress.
Oh, that is the most tragic scene ever.
It was quite the ugly sight, to be honest. His mother ended up coming to the apartment when she informed me tearfully that Derek had run off with an ex of his.
Wow.
So not only did he leave her at the altar, he left her for somebody else.
Low key, the riz you gotta have to riz up someone moments before they get married. Hats off to you.
They had apparently reconnected a week prior to the wedding, and he just couldn't go through with it.
Whoa, a week. Come on, that's some riz. Come on.
Riz, like, there has to be a better word to describe. That's like
riz.
opting instead to rekindle his relationship with his ex. His family was horrified. I didn't hear from him until 3 months after he left. He called me, apologized, and then revealed that his ex had been hiding his child from him that he just found out about.
Whoa. Dude, that's complicated. That's complicated.
That's pretty much all that was said. I didn't say much. Actually, I only said hello. The whole situation left me numb. I just didn't care anymore. Thankfully, though, my friends were and continue to be there for me. Through all of this muck, they encouraged me to seek therapy and work on healing. Those are good friends. Which, I'll be honest, was terribly difficult, but after a year, I felt myself again. Which brings me to today. After this whole debacle and subsequent self-improvement / rebuilding, I moved to the UK. I'm originally from Australia.
Ooh, we love an Australian baddie. Yo, I heard you're single.
Last night, I got a message request on Instagram. It was Derek. Hey, white hand wave emoji. I've heard you moved to Wales. That's so cool. I'm traveling to Cardiff towards the end of July. I'm deeply sorry about everything, and I want to discuss what happened leading up to the wedding. I hope I'm not overwhelming you. Let me know if you'd like to talk over lunch. Bro. Are you kidding me?
I mean, yeah. It is a nice text if he didn't leave her at the altar.
Firstly, no idea who told him about my move. Secondly, I don't know if I crave closure from him, but I also don't want to decide to decline to only later regret my decision. So I turn to you, strangers of the internet, aka you boys. What should I think about before reaching a decision? Would it be wise to decline, or should I honor him and listen to his reasons? There is a
juicy update. Oh, I have thoughts.
You have thoughts?
I have thoughts. I want to know everyone else's thoughts. Put your answers in the comments below. But my first thought is, no, you don't owe this guy anything.
Nope.
Nothing.
Zero.
Nada. The ball is in your court. If you need closure, go for it, girl. I think whatever OP feels she needs to heal, she should do. I don't really think this guy deserves any consideration.
I get the message was, oh, hey, I'm traveling through. Heard you went here. Hope it was great.
This is what I would lead with. Hey, I know you probably don't want to talk to me right now. And if that's true, just ignore this text. But I know you're going to be here. I'm also going to be here. If you want to talk, I would love to see you.
Wow, this garnered far more attention than I anticipated, so bear with me as I try to navigate this advice. Although the general consensus is quite clear, I have learned that an old mutual friend of ours revealed where I moved. And evidently, he's been stressing that he needs to tell me something.
He's pregnant. He's pregnant.
For the time being, I've decided to simply ignore his message and work through any emerging feelings with my therapist. And the final update. Hello, everyone. I did update in my original post. So as I previously mentioned, I decided to not respond to his message. A day after, however, I received another message from him. He apologized for how disingenuous his original message was. Thank you.
Finally, this dude has done one thing right.
And he explained to me why he reached out to me. Essentially, he wanted to discuss that final week before our wedding and the events leading up to him dipping out. Now, I will refrain from the entirety delving into my ex's and I's past, but my ex-fiance was diagnosed with PTSD and avoidant attributions from past experiences. His diagnosis did provide quite a bit of clarity looking back at our relationship and his past behavior, so I truly feel for him in his journey of self-healing. That is pretty damn empathetic of OP, if I say so myself.
You don't have to be empathetic just because he has a diagnosis.
Yeah. However, despite his struggles, I still told him that I couldn't forgive him for his callous act of leaving me in a perpetual state of limbo for 3 months, unsure of why he abandoned me. He said he understood. Now, and some of you will be quite mad at me, but I ultimately agreed to meet him for lunch, and I don't regret it.
Interesting. Why don't you regret it, OP?
He is not with his ex. Actually, she passed away 6 months after he left me at the altar.
What?
Which is part of the reason why she reached out to him in the first place. Since then, he has been working on himself through therapy and navigating single fatherhood. And yes, the child is his.
Wait. So this ex contacted him and say, hey, I have 6 months to live and you have a kid.
Yep.
Bruh.
Okay, he's still an asshole for not telling OP about what's going on. But if he did tell OP that I have to leave you, I would understand that.
You just explain it.
Just explain it.
That's,
Communicate.
Man, this is a roller coaster. The lunch wasn't too long, but it was all around cathartic on both sides. At the end of the lunch, he handed over an envelope which contained all the money we spent preparing for the wedding.
It's a good gesture, yeah.
Honestly, I was dumbfounded. It wasn't a gesture I was expecting on his behalf, and I think he was taken aback when I returned the ring he gave me. It's funny, I held onto the ring just in case I needed to sell it if my finances continued to be unstable, but I never had to. Ironic that in the end, I did receive the money whilst seemingly trading that ring. He looks better, and not to toot my own horn, but I feel I do as well. Now that chapter has concluded and I no longer feel rage or remorse, I feel free. I feared that I might have still harbored feelings for him, but I have since found that I loved him for the man he was in that moment when we were together. And though we're now apart, I'm okay with looking back and acknowledging the love I had for him. I've closed that chapter now with him, with the woman I was with him. Thank you all so much. Any advice on how I should spend this money I now have? Haha.
Invest it.
In a brand new wedding.
But I mean, it sounds like it was super cathartic for her. I'm surprised this meetup went so well when it easily could have gone south.
I was expecting it to go terribly.
Classy move and for him to return the money.
Still such a ditching someone on the wedding though. It's just
with no explanation. You know, I think he actually could have ditched the wedding, but you need some context. Knowing what we do now, what should he have done? What are the steps?
What should he have done? I mean, in this hypothetical, if there's no way, or he is 100% going to leave her for his ex with the child.
Dying ex with his child.
You sit her down as quickly as possible and you explain the whole scenario. The ex reached back out. He has a kid with her and she's going to pass away in 6 months.
Talk about it immediately.
Yeah. Like as soon as possible.
Okay. Now you're the wife. All right.
Yeah.
I say, babe, I just found out from my ex-girlfriend that she's going to die in 6 months and she is taking care of my child.
Yeah.
Babe, pause the wedding for 6 months. Let me date her for a while. Adopt this kid and everything.
Oh my God. Like, what do you actually say to that if you are the wife? Like, truly.
Hall pass.
Go ahead. Go crazy for 6 months.
Go crazy for 6 months. She's going to die. It's his kid.
I still don't get it. You could be a father to the kid. Why would he want to? I don't know why he would want to do that.
She's going to die.
Guys, I'm not going to win here today.
Yeah, no, I probably wouldn't be down.
And our like secret love child.
Secret love child, I'm good with the adoption. The boning 6 months before the wedding, I'm not.
Not the best.
Yeah.
Not the best.
What would you do? Put your answers in the comments below, and let's get into this next story. I cheated with a coworker, and now we're planning on running away together, or at least I am. Am I the a-hole?
Damn, you know, we've been working so hard.
And so long. I work in international live events that take weeks to pull off. I typically coordinate them and work with my team to install and operate. I'm close with my coworkers, but we live across the world and fly into every event. I've met most of my coworkers in person, but this event we had someone new working sound, Clint. I'd seen him in Zoom calls, but we hadn't interfaced directly. Interfaced.
Oh, God.
This event was a big one for the company. Big headliner and big partners with a lot of money being tossed around. I arrived at the install, got caught up to speed, met Clint, and got to work. One by one, my coworkers were sent off to other events. Clint and I were left to finish everything up.
Oh, God.
But bad weather and huge letdowns by one of our vendors had us in hot water. Like a hot tub. We started working 15 to 20 hour days to get everything done on time. After our long haul days, Clint and I would hang out and blaze legally. We had a lot in common and we were vibing in a way that neither of us felt before. We were both married unhappily. His wife had a bunch of medical problems and was really good at spending money and never leaving school. Yeah, she's trying to get an education and is spending all this money on her hospital bills.
Oh my God.
Fucking asshole.
Jesus.
My husband had turned into an angry person, had built up a pile of debt, and was not putting anything into the relationship. It started out platonic, but things got extremely stressful, and our sexual tension started building up. Oh, God. The lack of sleep, stress, and my lower tolerance for cannabis left me questioning everything about my life. We both felt like the other person was an extension of ourselves. We were kindred spirits. Slowly, Clint started making moves, and suddenly, dinners were turning into dates, and we were hanging out in each other's hotel rooms. We crossed many, many lines. But right as we crossed the final line, my brain kicked back in, and we decided to take care of our lives before going further. So I guess it was like kisses, blowjobs, no sex.
But by the time you're there, you're like, she's already...
John, don't you know it's not cheating if your genitals aren't touching?
Wow. How could I have missed that?
I'm kidding, of course.
Or is he?
Over the last few days of the event, Clint and I continued to be close. We made plans to leave our spouses, sell our houses, and travel together. We created a bucket list of places to go, things to do, and see together. We even talked about eventually building a little cabin. Clint had planned on getting a tattoo dedicated to me when he returned home.
It would be sweet.
Talking about getting a tattoo literally means nothing.
Hey, babe.
John, I'm going to get a tattoo of your face on my ball sack.
Whoa.
That means nothing until I get the ball sack tattoo. At the end of the event, we went our separate ways and kept in touch virtually. Lots of sexting and unprofessionalism all around. We had agreed we wouldn't tell our partners about the affair as they each have mental health issues, but we planned to divorce and move on with our lives. After a few days at home, I talked with my husband and asked for a divorce. I told him I wanted to move away and start my life over. Clint talked to his wife, but things were messier. She was volatile, and her family made it difficult for Clint to outright leave her. Eventually, I noticed Clint was becoming distant. Still sexual, but not emotionally available. He sent me pictures of his new tattoos, which were nothing like what he said he was planning to me. Alarm bells were going off in my head, but I kept plodding along, planning mine and our escape. Clint went off to a series of anniversary-related dates with his wife, which is never what you want from your side piece.
Yeah.
That sounds like commitment, and we hate that. And he kept leaving me on red. I asked him what was going on a number of times. And finally, after weeks of mixed signals, Clint told me he was having doubts. We video chatted during work, and he told me he owed it to his wife to try and make things worse. To be fair, Opie described her husband as like not putting anything in the relationship and being angry. Clint described his wife as being like sick and learning.
Literally, like I feel like Opie tried to spin it the worst way she could. Like she's always just spending all his money and it's like
on her medical bills.
She has all these medical needs, and it's like, bro, he's probably paying for her medical ailments, and she's just going to school.
Yeah, she's like trying to provide.
What?
Now I'm left up trying to pick up the pieces of my life. Most of my friends are my coworkers, so I have no one to talk about my heartbreak. I don't have the money to fix my problems at home or to leave and live alone in another country. There's no going back with my husband, as I know it would be wrong, and I'm no longer interested in carrying the relationship. I'll see Clint again in a few weeks at another event where we'll likely be left alone for hours at a time. But he plans to stay faithful to his wife, and we never even got to have the mind-blowing sex we talked about. TLDR, I fooled around with a coworker while traveling for work, got love bombed, made plans to move to another country together, told my husband I wanted a divorce, and got left with nothing but bad karma. And that is why you don't cheat on your wife or your husband.
You can't do it. She also was going to leave her husband anyways.
It sounds like she wasn't happy in the marriage. Like he wasn't putting anything into the marriage. And so she decided to put outside of the marriage.
Yeah. It sounded like the consolation prize is that she did get out of this unhappy marriage.
Consolation prize? Divorce.
Divorce. The divorce chance actually worked this time.
Yeah. Hey, the divorce chance sometimes are the best thing.
That's true.
Well, the only present you need. Love bombing. What does that mean to you?
Yeah.
Can you throw it in the comments? Because I think I may be a love bomber.
Uh-oh. Dropping big loads.
I might drop big loads of love on people.
You know what I think? And I'll be very curious to hear everyone's opinion, but like it's when it's used more nefariously. Maybe like this guy, he was like, oh, all hot and heavy. Oh, let's do all these things. Let's leave our partners. Like, and then he's like, nah, they changed my mind. You know what I mean?
So it's like basically the love without the follow-up.
Yeah.
Throw your answers in the comments. I want to hear what you guys think.
We shall see. But you know what else I want to do?
Tell me this story.
Yes. I'm better at being a stay-at-home mom than my wife. I'm a man. I know what I'm talking about. Am I the a-hole?
Hey, we don't need to go into these gender roles, man.
I, 30 male, have a wife, 30 female.
Congratulations, big dog.
Good for you.
Sam.
Jesus. And we have a daughter, 7 female. I work in finance, and my wife is a stay-at-home mom as I earn a sufficient amount for the both of us.
All right, you don't need to flex on us, dude.
My wife is a great stay-at-home mom and takes great care of our house.
My wife.
Bro, no one give this man a Red Bull ever again for the rest of his fucking life.
John, start reading the story. God damn it.
Put me out of a misery.
You're so slow.
Put a Colt 45 right in my mouth and just End me. My wife is a great stay-at-home mom and takes great care of the house. I was lucky to buy a home as I earn well in a medium cost of living city. I love my wife, but she finds it humorous to say that I'm incapable of doing household tasks. We had agreed that she would do them when we decided that she would stay at home, but I do stuff occasionally when we're both home if she asks me to. But then if I say load the dishwasher for her, she will claim that I did it wrong just because I do it different than she does. It still cleans well.
Yeah, it's like, I load the dishwasher, I just put all the plates flat on top.
I put it all on top, you know? I like to do one dish at a time. It's my patented method. The other day, we were eating and she told me about her day and how she went grocery shopping and optimized the cost by...
Boring! I don't care about your day.
There's no other way we're going to finish the story. By buying specific items at specific stores, she made an offhanded remark that I would never be able to do her job and said it in a "what would you ever do without me" kind of way. I replied back saying that of course I could do it. I handle complex decisions and calculations at my work. As I work in finance and I have a master's degree, bro.
Yo.
Do you hear yourself right now? What I do involves more intellect than household operations. Even though I acknowledged and appreciate what she does, I would be capable if the roles were reversed. I feel like she was literally making the most like innocuous or like cute joke.
Yeah, she's
and
like,
he's just
what
like,
would you do without
I
me?
have more intellect.
I am smarter than you.
I am a genius.
I can do dishwash.
God. She got angry and seemed to think that I was calling her stupid when I wasn't. And,
I mean, you said everything but.
And then she started crying, and now I feel like an a-hole.
You are a massive a-hole.
You are an a-hole. She said that she was a very good student, and had she graduated, she would be in my position as well. My wife and I met in college, but she was an international student studying physics and computer science, and she had issues with her loan from her home country and could not afford to complete it.
That is tragic. So she's super smart too, and is stuck just dishwashing?
And we got married so she could stay. Initially, she wanted to complete it later after finding the funds, but she agreed to be a stay-at-home mom when I got a good job, and I appreciate that a lot as we were both able to have a kid early on and did all this even while I was both completing my master's and working full time.
Is that done?
It's over.
Finally, John. Jesus Christ.
I know. It took me so long. What was I doing?
Took you so long. Yeah, I think he's an asshole. He took a simple, like you said, innocuous comment, and like that was cute, and he just made it about him being smart.
Yeah. It's almost like he's like looking for ways to just be like,
put her down.
Yeah.
And she was studying CS and physics, and now she's taking care of your kid. Like, have some respect. I worked at a wedding, called the bride fat, and then roasted the entire family. Now they don't want to pay me, and I'm curious. Am I the asshole? This happened 6 years ago when I was a hotshot wedding videographer. I retired afterwards. My selling point was simple. I will shoot your wedding and give you a highlight reel the very next day. No questions asked. People loved it. They wanted me. They couldn't wait.
Oh, God.
They're busting at the seams to get him.
Oh, highlights.
My career's last wedding was no different at the beginning. I arrived at the scene, asked who the important people were, and shot some epic footage and went home. But I was hiding a harmless secret. You see, my work ethic of 20 hours straight came with a caveat. I got bored too often. But that day, I found a solution.
Okay.
If you have ever edited videos before, you know the most boring part of it is watching, organizing, and naming hundreds of clips. So just for self-amusement, I did something. Instead of naming clips how you usually name them, I started naming them funnily. You know, like, mind you, these are raw footages that will never be seen by anyone else other than me. The final video was aptly named and sent to the bride, my client, the very next day. She called me and she loved it. She thanked me for my service and requested me if I could also send her all the raw clips I have taken. The raw clips with his funny names. You see, it was the weekend and her entire family was going to visit her, where they planned to watch all the videos and start her new life with a bang. Although, in 99% of other cases, I would have been smart enough to send her the original clips. This time around, I had an important statistics exam the next day, and my brain was fried.
Oh, God. I know where this is coming. Put I see you in the comments if you know where this is headed.
I unknowingly copied my funny name clips and gave those to her. It was the next day at my university, about to enter the classroom, ready to give my statistic exam, and then my phone rings. The bride is calling. I rejoice. Surely she's calling to ask for my bank details. I'll be a little richer today. Hello, I say. The bride responds, "You are the most horrible person I've ever seen. You humiliated me in front of my entire family, and I will file a police report against you right now.
Oh, my God.
You won't get away with this." Cuts the call. For file names.
I want to know what they are now.
I was confused. I really didn't know why'd she act that way. Was she trying to rip me off, throwing up this act? I was not going to let her get away with this. So I called my classmate, the girl who hooked me up with the client. Bride was her aunt. Oh no. Surely my classmate would know what's happening. "Hey, Miss Blank called me and she said some weird stuff. Do you know what's happening?" "Are you kidding me?" she says. "What the hell were those names? Are you out of your goddamn mind? Is this a prank?" She's swearing at me so much. "You are unreal. Why did you do that?" He said, "What names?" "Wait, video clip names?"
Don't incriminate yourself.
I don't know if you're joking at this point, but I'm in a lot of trouble because of you. You're a really weird man. Call cuts. The freaking names! The names! No way I sent them the funny names. My heart sank. My exam was in 5 minutes. I couldn't take it. I collected myself, gave the exam, I barely passed it, and went home to see what I had done. At this point, even I don't know how bad it is. I don't remember any of the funny names. I did those in the moment, laugh a little and move on. I opened my computer and went into the folder. My hands are shaking. My heart is pounding. These were some of the names.
Oh, finally.
Ugly bride trying to pose. Annoying loud bride friends.
Ooh.
Old grandma's last wedding.
Oh, no.
Perv brother eyeing girls. Fat ass groom standing. Dumb as fuck kids running. Short bald dad eating.
Oh.
These were the first couple out of 60 final clips.
No.
I deleted the whole folder without proceeding further. I couldn't take it. Before you tell me how horrible I am, to my defense, I was a dumb, unfunny kid. To come up with creative insults, you have to be smart. I wasn't. So I relied on shock humor enough to get me through the boring phase of naming. I didn't think much of it. It wasn't meant to be seen by anyone. I called my friend the other day, calmed her down, apologized for it, and once she was cool, she told me the following. We were all gathered at the bride's house. It was at least a 30-person gathering. We were supposed to sit in the hall and watch all the clips one by one.
Oh, no.
The first clip was the highlights you made, which everyone enjoyed. Then she plugged in the flash drive you gave her, and to everyone's horror, they saw it. All the funny names in front of everyone. The bride tried to close the folder immediately, but her dad was furious and proceeded angrily reading everything out loud.
Oh my God.
Until the bride started crying and left the room. It was something. The groom stayed still and said nothing.
Damn.
This is OP. That's horrible. I didn't mean it. It wasn't supposed to be in front of anyone else. I'm so sorry. She says, "That's okay. I mean, I get it. Everything is calm now, but I don't think you'll get your money. I mean, you can try, but the bride's really pissed." But the grandma laughed at her clip name, actually. I never contacted the bride again. I heard she was teaching in a university next to mine. I never went to that place. Whenever I think of this, I cringe really hard, and I feel like sinking and laughing at the same time. I'm still sometimes talking to my classmate. She recently got married, and suffice to say, she didn't ask me to shoot the wedding.
Wow. Okay, I'm very curious to hear what you guys think because I think this one actually might be a split decision on if OP is actually the a-hole or not, right? What are your thoughts?
Okay, John.
Yeah.
John, if I'm calling someone fat and ugly behind their back, I'm an asshole.
I agree.
I actually, hot take, I think it's more of an asshole move to insult someone behind their back than to insult them to
I
their
think
face.
that's true. Like the other day, Nathan, who runs the 1s and 2s on our YouTubes, he said that my hair in a bun made me look like a douche. He said that to my face.
Yeah, and everyone else was just thinking it.
Exactly. Exactly. Now I know the truth. He then said, on the bright side, I look like a successful douche. So I guess I'll take it.
That's something. All right, let's get into this next story.
Let's do it. My best friend cheated on her fiance with my boyfriend. I just found out. Now she's getting married and I want to ruin the wedding. Am I the a-hole? I dated my ex-boyfriend, John, with an H, for 4 years and got serious enough where we started planning for our future. Weddings, kids, etc. I thought we were pretty happy, but last year he dumped me pretty suddenly. I tried to figure out what went wrong, but he said it was personal. It's not that it was not personal, it was personal, and that I should respect protect his space. During this time, my best friend Stacy and her fiance Tom were my rocks, letting me crash at their place and just being overwhelmingly supportive and loving. When Stacy asked me to be her maid of honor, I thought it was a no-brainer and I happily took to the task. Fast forward to what happened this weekend, the morning of the wedding. Tom asked me to meet him for breakfast super early in the morning before all the festivities. I thought it was weird, but assumed he maybe wanted me to pass something on to Stacy. What happened instead was that Tom let me know a few days prior that Stacy admitted to him that she had an affair with John.
Wait, what?
Divorce. And that was what led to my breakup. He said that Stacy wanted to come clean to start their marriage fresh and that he was forgiving her to move forward. He had gone back and forth between telling me and finally decided to spill the beans. I guess he had expected me to forgive Stacy too because the affair was so long ago. The opposite pretty much happened and I walked out on the wedding. Damn.
That's exactly what you should do.
It ended up causing a huge mess because I was basically running the whole show. Stacy made me do everything, so she didn't even know what was happening at certain times or who to call. Not only that, but everyone realized that the maid of honor wasn't there.
Damn, the only thing Stacy can do right is your husband.
God.
Or sorry, ex-fiance.
Ouch. She had headshots and bios of the party on her wedding page, so it was like clear that the maid of honor wasn't there, and news of the affair eventually got out because her cousin knew John. Stacy and Tom have both been slandering me online now, saying that I ruined their once-in-a-lifetime moment. Some of their friends are on their side, saying that I should have handled the situation more privately and at least stuck out the wedding since it was so last minute.
Nah, dude.
No, not at all. Not at all. I personally don't know what Tom expected, but either way, I've been getting bombarded with texts, and I heard that Stacy has been so upset that she had to take time off work, which does make me feel like the a-hole.
No.
Especially since I've just been ignoring her calls. Okay.
Fuck Stacy.
I'm curious to hear any of your cheating stories, having been cheated on. What was the fallout? How did you deal with it in a scenario like this? But I don't think that OP owes them anything, especially because, you know, it's one thing to cheat on your fiance that ruins your marriage, right? So like OP's marriage was ruined. Then they tell her right before the wedding. So it's like, what do you expect? You were the one that fucked up, Stacy and Tom for not telling her sooner, honestly.
Yeah. I feel just bad for OP that like so much information was taken and or withheld from her.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think OP is the a-hole at all.
Not at all.
Yeah. You know who also is not the a-hole?
Who?
Me, because I just bought Ashley a nice villa in Abood for a weekend getaway. Dude, literally, I'm going to be so sad when I leave here. I'm ready for the depression.
Should totally come with you.
Yeah, maybe.
Also, I love how you're doing this romantic getaway also on my 3rd anniversary.
Yeah, I got to celebrate your 3rd anniversary.
I know. Wow. Thank you. You're so inclusive, man. Just
you're
like
welcome.
You want to celebrate with me. I so appreciate it.
We should time our orgasms.
Wow.
So it's at the same time.
I know that's what my girl wants is me timing my orgasms with my podcast co-host. She says, nope. Yep, she's right over there. Little does he know, she is right behind him the whole time.
Let's get to this next story.
Suffer.
My boyfriend is a short king and I just wore 8-inch heels to the wedding. He's furious. So am I the asshole? I have a high heel story like today's story. Oh, is this from? Oh, this is from r/OKOP show. It's by Happy Kitty Meow Meow.
Love that.
Submitted this story on our subreddit r/OKOP show. So if you want your story submitted, go over there.
Just hit 1,000 there, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay. So as a teenager and young 20s, I would wear heels all the time. I'm pretty practiced at wearing them, walk well in them, and can run in heels up to 6 inches tall. Damn.
Wow.
That's fucking crazy.
That's insanity.
I was dating this guy who was 4 inches taller than me. He wouldn't let me wear heels over 3 inches, so he was still taller than me. Red flag.
Yeah.
We were going to a wedding for his cousin, and I had planned to wear some nice ballet flats so I would be comfortable, but still appropriate, but he demanded that I wear heels. Long
God.
story short, several temper tantrums later, I showed up with him to the wedding in kitten heels and insisted we sit near the front, not the very front, just not way in the back. Guy's so particular. F this guy.
Yeah, what the
I hope
hell?
you've broken up with him. Once most of the guests had shuffled to their seats, we had a few minutes before things got going. I excused myself to the bathroom and changed shoes. And guess what? I came out in 8-inch heels.
Boom.
And obviously walked past most of the sitting guests to get backed.
Oh, yeah.
I top out at 10-inch heels for those curious. 10-inch
10
heels?
inches?
It's a
Bro,
fucking
that's just
foot.
stilts.
Heels clicking and drawing attention the whole way. He stood up when I returned to let me into my seat and then noticed I was now 4 inches taller
Uh-oh.
than he was. So 4 inches taller than he was.
Damn.
He turned a lovely shade of purple, sat down, and said some pretty nasty things to me. I had fun, danced, and chatted with people while he moped and let me have it in the car. I just dropped him at home and told him to not call me again. He tried to backtrack and apologize and beg for a while and then moved on to calling me an effing biatch and a stupid slut. I never replied. Good riddance. I look effing hot at the wedding and my ex succumbed to his Napoleon syndrome. Waterloo, bitch. Damn.
Take it.
I love that.
I love that because, like, I think a lot of people might be like, okay, that's an a-hole move on his part, but it's just one time. But I think it's the
representative.
iceberg,
Yeah.
you know, like there's
the fact that he's just so controlling over like that is
like,
really suggests
gives a
that he's
fuck?
very
Who
insecure.
cares?
He's very insecure.
And totally insecure.
Yo, bro, give me a giant woman. I'm down. Give me an Amazonian.
Let's
I
go.
will climb that thing like a eucalyptus tree. But with that, I think let's wrap this episode up. We love you. We've been having some guest episodes and we've been reading some of the comments. You guys are vicious to some of our guests. Jeez,
That's true.
you guys are vicious. I mean, we love you, but the OKOP army can bite off some people's
Hey,
heads.
y'all are passionate, you know. We do
Passionate
love
crowd.
the passion. We do love the passion. Absolutely.
But yeah, we'll see you soon. We love
See
you.
ya.
Peace.